So he was living in a van and living in a shipping container on Ed's property. So when I moved up there with my tipi, we had a living room, a bedroom, and wheels.
Hi, and welcome to the Desert Lady Diaries podcast, a weekly conversation with women who found their home in the Mojave Desert. I'm Dawn Davis, and this is episode 79. If you'd like more information about the podcast, it's all at the website, desertladydiaries.com. And I invite you to engage with the guests, with other listeners, or me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Desert Lady Diaries, or on Twitter at Desert Lady Diary. Wanda Stadum is a native Californian and loves the outdoors. She and her husband Bob met in the high desert 30 years ago when she was living in a teepee in the Pioneer Town area. And of course, we're going to talk about that. Since 1982, Wanda has owned and operated a commercial sign shop. Wanda says, when you want something done, ask a busy person. This definitely applies to Wanda Stadum. Wanda works tirelessly to improve the quality of life for the residents of Yucca Valley. Wanda's dedication to her community has been honored by a number of local organizations. In 1994, Wanda received a Women in Business Certificate of Recognition from the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors. She also received a California Legislature Assembly Small Business Recognition in 1999. She was named Elks Lodge 2314 Citizen of the Year 2005 to 2006. A member of Soroptomist International Foundation, she's been recognized as Soroptomist of the Year, Super Soroptomist, and Woman of Distinction. She is also a 3-time president of Soroptomist International, Yucca Valley. In 2005, Wanda and her husband Bob were named Volunteer Couple of the Year by the Basin Wide Foundation, of which she is a charter member and has also been honored with the Basin Wide Award of Excellence. Last but not least, you probably know Wanda by her tireless involvement with the Yucca Valley Chamber of Commerce. Awards from the Chamber include 2003 Citizen of the Year, 2009 her business received the Pride and Spirit Award, she's been a Grub Stakes Days Grand Marshal, and she is currently serving as the president and CEO of the Chamber. Wanda also has served as president of the Old Town Merchants Association for 7 years and has coordinated the Festival of Lights Parade in Old Town for 15 years. That's all we have time for today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Do you perform with the Wild West Theater?
I do. I belong to the Main Street Stampede Wild West show.
Okay.
And we perform 2 times a month up in Pioneer Town. We canceled tomorrow's show because it's going to be too cold and windy.
Oh, gosh, yeah. No kidding. And I admire you for doing that because you also do it in the summertime.
Yes, we do it in the summer.
Full costume.
Yes, full costume.
Yeah.
We dress in the 1880s genre and put on skits that we think, what we thought the Old West would be like in those days.
Very cool. Now, I also saw that there's a Wanda Stadum on IMDb for something called Tales of the Frontier. Mm-mm. Is that you? No, not you.
Well, it's something that someone may have put my name on, but I don't know of any other Wanda Stadums. That's interesting.
Right, it was. I said, she's on IMDb, so I thought I'd check in and see about that. Okay, what was your first experience with desert?
I came out here to look for my dog.
What?
Yeah, I loaned my dog to a friend of mine because I had to go on a long trip with a friend of mine, and he was allergic to dogs. So we loaned our dog to a friend, and she lived out here. So I came out here to get my dog and went, whoa, this is not too bad. I remember coming here when I was a kid.
Okay.
My dad was a Scoutmaster in Norwalk, California, and he'd bring the boys out here 3 or 4 times a year to camp in the Joshua Tree National Monument at the time. Mm-hmm. And my sister and I used to get to come with him. So I liked the desert, but I never thought I'd ever live here. Oh, my God.
Right.
It was just too bizarre. And when I came back out here as an adult, I went, this is pretty nice. I can walk to wherever I want. I don't have to have a car. People are very friendly. The sun is shining all the time. I mean, what
can't beat that.
Yeah, and here I am 30-some-odd years later, and I'm still here, and I love it.
Oh, my goodness. So tell me, what were you in Old Town then when you said you could walk to most places?
Yes, I set up a teepee in Old Town, right behind a pet store that was on the highway. I set it up in my girlfriend's backyard, and had a nice linoleum floor and a big, beautiful double bed and dresser and a little living room area. And then I did my cooking and eating in my girlfriend's home inside. So there I was in the backyard enjoying my outdoor space, and Bob rides by on a bicycle. And he waves at this girl sitting by a teepee, and I wave back, and he continues on down the street and turns around and comes back. He said, there was a girl in a teepee and she waved at me. I have to meet her. And here we are 30-odd years later.
Oh, my goodness.
Still a couple married 10 years after we met and still together, happily together, and enjoying this high desert.
That's great. So when you moved up with your girlfriend, so you came and you got the dog, and then you said, wow, this is great. Where were you living before you moved?
I was living in Northern California, San Francisco area, Berkeley. I lived in Long Beach and Belmont Shore for 20-some-odd years. I was a beach girl for many, many years. Mm-hmm. My parents were beach people. My dad was one of the first young men to be pulled behind a ski boat with a piece of plywood cut out in a circle. He used to ride that all over the Puget Sound up in Washington, and his family came down here and homestead in Redondo Beach. And so he grew up as a beach boy, and of course, as we kids grew up, we grew up as beach kids as well.
Sure, so. And that's interesting that you would use the term homestead in Redondo Beach.
Yes, homestead.
Talk to me about that.
Well, it's just like a regular homestead. The government offered property and land, and his parents came out here from Virginia. And let's see, he was born in 1918. And he was 7 years old when they came out here. Oh my gosh. So it was in the early 20s that Hermosa Beach and Redondo Beach had plots of land that were available from the government. And so you had to build a house, a certain size, within so many years, and then the property was yours.
Oh my gosh,
I didn't Yeah, they lived there for quite a while, and eventually they sold and moved to Seal Beach.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. And of course, property wasn't as valuable as it is now. The plot that small house is on has a multi-million-dollar skyrise apartment house on it, right on a bluff overlooking the pier and the big area there.
That's interesting because the first time I ever heard homestead was about out here, particularly in 29 Palms and Wonder Valley. But
Jackrabbit Homesteads.
Right, exactly.
That was a pretty interesting project as well.
Yeah, Kim Stringfellow. When I have company that comes to town and they haven't ever been out here, I will play all of those. There's a number of audio pieces on the website, and we play them on our way to the Palms for Sunday brunch. And then Laura has a homestead cabin across the street from the Palms that she uses for like a little bookstore. So I say, now you've heard all about the homesteads, now you're actually going to go inside one.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah. And nice. I loved finding that. It was a little piece of gold there. So then you come out here and you know your girlfriend. Is it?
Yeah, I get my dog. I try to find my dog.
Okay.
And she'd lost the dog already. The dog's freaked out and jumped out of the car someplace in a parking lot somewhere and never came back. And I found that dog in Norwalk when I picked him up. So he's probably in some little old lady's trailer just being loved to death somewhere because he's got that look that you just couldn't resist. You just have to take him home. So I didn't worry about him or lose any sleep over it. So.
Right. Oh my goodness.
And my girlfriend, her parents owned Gates of Spain Mobile Park.
Okay.
They were the ones that graded the land and got the permits and actually put in 100 units for double-wides mobile homes.
Okay.
And so she came out here to be with her mom and dad, and I came out here to visit with her, and I decided, I think I'll just stay. I slept on the couch until I got the teepee, and then I slept in the teepee till I met Bob, and then we moved the teepee up Pioneer Town Road to a beautiful bluff where a friend of ours became a longtime friend, lived there, that were Jus and Ed Motter, who come from a really great background of gymnasts.
Okay.
And they traveled around the country.
Is their son Kane who has
Yes, that's Kane.
Gotcha.
And he's Harry to me. Because he was only 10 years old when I met him.
Oh, okay.
And I know, as a matter of fact, his sister, Cardina, is coming out this next weekend with her husband and 2 children, and we'll be visiting with them. They come out pretty regularly and visit. So his dad was blind, and his dad's older brother, Justice, there's Justice and Ed, and they traveled around the country for a company called School Assemblies. And they put on programs for elementary school assemblies, and they did rizzling. Have you ever heard of rizzling?
No, what is rizzling?
That's where one guy lays on his back and the other guy tumbles the other guy on the top.
Oh, wow.
With the feet to feet, hand to hand.
I've seen that. I didn't know that's what it was called.
Aerobic kind of stuff. After the assembly was over and there was a lunch break, the boys would go into the lunchroom and sell these grinders to the teachers, where you slide on a grinder to shred carrots or slide on a grinder to hand crank. I still have mine.
Oh my goodness.
And it just works beautifully. It's still in excellent condition. It's the only thing I used to slice cucumbers and to grade my carrots. It's just wonderful.
Wonderful. They don't make stuff like that anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
No. So we lived on the property with Ed and Justice right up on Pioneer Town Road for a whole winter and into the spring and the summer, and it was wonderful. And we decided we wanted to get a little place, and we got a little place about the same size as yours down in town, in Old Town, and opened up a sign shop. And that's how the sign business started. I was and have been a hand letterer for many, many years. I do window painting, I do certificates and signboards, posters, show cards, the full-blown sign shop. Then eventually, as the years went on, we were 30 years in the business here in High Desert. We did electric signs as well as channel letters. So it was a lot of fun. Hard work, kept me physically fit, which is really great.
Yeah.
It's up and down the ladders and on boom trucks and cranes and all kinds of neat stuff.
How did you get interested in doing that kind of work?
I was a graphic artist in college. Took classes in college and hand-lettered signs for projects through the college, and went to Long Beach State College, or Cal State Long Beach now. It was Long Beach State College in those days. And just went on making money. My first job was to roll out banner paper on my small apartment floor and hand-letter signs for these drive-through dairies. Eggs, so many dollars a dozen.
Right.
Milk, cheese, whatever. I'd have maybe a dozen signs, paper signs that I would make every week, and that was my income. I never had to work as a restaurant hostess.
Right.
Because I was able to use my lettering skills to sell my signage.
That's fantastic.
And it just kind of worked one thing into the next. And,
right, yeah.
And Yucca Valley didn't have any sign makers that were hand letterers, so I fit in. I volunteered my first year that I lived here. I volunteered for the Chamber of Commerce. Walked over to across the street from my teepee. Walked across the street to where the rodeo grounds were, and the carnival, and the demolition derby that was all being set up.
And what's there now?
80s. The bank is there. The California Welcome Center, the old Pomona First Federal. That's where.
Oh, okay.
That's that area, that whole big area. And I lived right across the street from that in the teepee before I met Bob. And so I walked over and said, hey, I can hand letter. Do you need any stuff done? And they put me to work really quick. And I volunteered and started meeting all these business people and got into the business community that way and found out that they had a need for my services. So I opened up a little sign shop in a small area in Yucca Valley, and it just grew from there to where I own my own building in Old Town. And I have an artist now that rents it from me, and she's quite an interesting gal. She owns The End, I believe is the name of her company. And Kimmy,
yes.
And she rents my building and designs her own fabric and screen prints it, and then makes clothes and sells them on Etsy and in her store. So I have an artist in my building, and I love it.
That's great.
I was looking to do something new at one time, because I was getting a little burned out after 30-some years.
Sure, yeah.
And I was looking into the health market, and my husband and I were looking at different health products that we use ourselves, and we go to health fairs and festivals, and we thought maybe we'd make that into a business. And one day, the president of the bank, local bank, came into my business and said, Wanda, we need a strong person in our Chamber of Commerce, and our executive director is retiring after 21 years. And we've interviewed people from the news. They don't fit. But I know you might be looking for something different to do, because she's a Soroptomist as well.
Oh, okay.
So she said, what do you think about being our chamber? I said, well, I'll think about it over the weekend. And I went and interviewed on Monday, and I think I started on Friday. That's how the transition went. And I've been there 5 years now.
Oh, I was going to say, how long ago was that?
5 years now.
Yeah. And you seem to really enjoy that.
Yeah, it is a challenge, because we old ladies want to be in the technology and in the new stuff, and it's really a challenge. Makes my brain twist. I had some glitches yesterday that I wanted to just throw the thing out the window with, But yeah, that's a challenge, and I like a challenge. I'm an Aries, and Aries people like challenge.
Are you a March Aries or an April Aries? Oh, okay.
Close,
I'm a March
close
Aries.
to Taurus, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I'm very, very grounded.
Right, yes, for sure. So what was Bob doing here when you met him? How long had he been in the area?
He'd been in the area probably a year, maybe 9 months to a year, and he was up living on that property with Ed and Just Motter and riding his bicycle. He was retired. He came down from Western Washington. He's a retired skier. Mm-hmm. He ran a ski school up in Western Washington.
Oh, wow.
And did a ski patrol as well. He's quite amazing on skis. And still, as over 70, and he's doing fabulous.
That's
on
great.
skis. I don't do it, but I watch him.
Yeah.
He's just beautiful. So he was living in a van and living in a shipping container on Ed's property. So when I moved up there with my tipi, we had a living room, a bedroom, and wheels.
You sound like one of these modern day Airbnb folks.
Yeah, we could have been.
You know, they have their land, they have their house, and we'll put a shipping container up. Oh, we'll put a teepee up. We'll do glamping.
Yeah, that's what we did. We glamped.
You had it before it was fashionable.
Yeah. And so when the sign shop, we decided to open the sign shop, then he worked with me and became a licensed contractor and did all the installations and did all the paperwork. And he did the billing and the bookwork, and that was his part, and all the art stuff was mine.
Now, sometimes when people think of a Chamber of Commerce, they think of it strictly as a place where they can go get information about, you know, either moving to a place or they're traveling to a place and they're looking for kind of travel information. Can you give like a Reader's Digest version of some of the other things that are involved other than that? Because there are.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to be located inside the California Welcome Center, which is one of maybe a dozen in the state of California. So the California Welcome Center handles all the tourist information over in their area. And what we handle on our area is business. Our focus is to promote business, to promote economic stability for our community, to promote events throughout the area, to help our business people that are chamber members have a successful business or have a successful event. We have 75 members that are nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
So anytime that nonprofit has a fundraiser, they are able to come and give us information that then we can pass out and get into the right hands.
Right.
And because of my graphic arts background, I'm really good at designing newsletters and ads. I was a ad specialist for many years and worked in a graphic department in Rosemead. And so I branded the chamber. That was my goal, was to brand the chamber and let people feel proud about where you live and what you're doing, where you're living. And it seems to be working. I get a lot of thanks from our business owners, and our membership has stayed at a really good level as far as during the economic times that were so hard. Our membership hasn't dropped but 0.5%.
Wow.
We've stayed really steady. We gain and lose, but we grow slowly each time. We're having a big membership thing in a couple of weeks too, so we'll see how that works out too.
Right. Well, I noticed too that you've got something coming up on the 15th, which is next week. It's at La Palapa.
Yeah, it's a Shamrock Shenanigans. Yeah. And we're going to have a nice program. We're going to have some free entertainment for anybody that shows. It's open to the public. We have an improv group that's coming in that's going to do a 1-hour free show.
Oh, fun.
We're celebrating the opening ribbon cutting of the La Palapa's back banquet room, which is a really beautiful room, and it'll be really nice for groups to have that big space to have events there.
And I really enjoy their restaurant.
Yeah,
I always seem to forget that they're there. You know?
Their food is good. Yeah, their food is good.
Now, did that used to be a lodge of some sort that they're in?
Yes, and I'm sorry I can't tell you the name of who had it. It seems, I'm thinking the
kind
Masons.
of like an Elks or something.
It wasn't the Mason. Had a lot of great events in that back room in the 80s, because there's a stage with two beautiful entrances on either side. They had fashion shows with the big long
the
runway
catwalk
down the middle.
Yeah.
They had plays there. I was in a reader's play there at one time, and dinner theater reader's play. And the script was written by a woman here in Yucca Valley. But as time went on, that back room kind of went into disuse and started getting to become storage. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're working on now, is making it back into a
like a
room
banquet
that's
room.
available.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So in the time that you've been here then, talk to me about some of the changes that you've seen, the size of the highway, the amount of businesses on the highway.
Well, the biggest change that I see right now today is traffic. That's really due to our wastewater sewer system construction. The State Water Quality Control Board mandated a wastewater system for this area because of the growth.
Oh.
There was another town called Los Osos in Northern California. They were the first to be mandated to abandon septic and go to a sewer system. And Los Osos said, oh, well, you can't tell us what to do. And they said, okay, you watch us. And they did.
Oh, my gosh.
And so many thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars later in fines, Los Osos broke ground and put in a very good wastewater treatment system and hookups to homes. Mm-hmm. Then the state went to look at the next most growing town in the state, and they cited us.
Wow.
And so that's where the project started.
Okay.
So the biggest change that I see today is the flow of traffic that's coming down onto the main highway because of all the little side streets that are getting all of the construction going on.
Right.
And that's a good thing in one respect. By next year, the treatment plant will be online. Mm-hmm. The hookups to the homes won't be finished. That'll take another 1 to 2 years after that. But we have more businesses that are looking to build here in Yucca Valley, and they can't unless they put in their own mini batch plant.
Oh.
And a mini batch plant is up to about $500,000.
Oh, my goodness. And that's what got in trouble, like Walmart got in trouble for something, right?
Well,
on that? Or
no.
Was that something different?
No, that's something different.
Okay.
But Walmart did put in their own mini batch plant, and all those businesses, the Home Depot and the other small businesses
like the Marshalls and all that,
they all share that giant wastewater treatment plant. And when the lines are in and hooked up, they have to abandon that. That's the rule.
Oh, I see.
So small businesses that want to open up something, putting $500,000 investment and then turning around and having to disconnect in a couple of years, they're just waiting. So everyone's holding off. Mm-hmm. Properties are in escrow. There's a beautiful restaurant going to be opening up next door to the California Welcome Center that's from Beverly Hills.
Wow.
We call them a designer restaurant. It's not fast food, and it's not a family. Mm-hmm. It's a designer restaurant. We're going to have a nice meal and sit and have a glass of wine. And they're coming. They're all
wonderful.
Yeah, that's right next door to the Welcome Center. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
Hooters wants to come here. You know, we've got a Marine base just a few miles away, but they can't come here till the wastewater is
right, exactly.
So the biggest change I've seen in that. Another change that I've noticed, and I'm not really happy about, is the freedom we used to have away from government. When we were in the old days, we could have a fair or festival without a permit. We could have a beer gardens without fences. Yeah. We could have, these wonderful, wonderful fun time things without a lot of bureaucracy. And I see that that's just part of growth. I totally understand that. Right. It's a really necessary thing. But I do miss the old time days.
Just slapping it all together and not have to worry about all that stuff. Yeah, that is.
And we ran by the seat of our pants, and we did a good job. So,
well, it's interesting when government, whether it's the county or the state, does see some action happening, it's almost inevitable, how can we get in on that sort of a attitude, I feel like sometimes. So,
yeah. Well, we're real fortunate on one hand up here and I'm really proud that we have 4 very wonderful people. Congressman Paul Cook is from Yucca Valley. Assemblyman Chad Mays is from Yucca Valley. Supervisor Don Rao is from Yucca Valley. And Shannon Grove, our Senator Shannon Grove, is new to our area, but she loves the desert and comes up here all the time. And so we have local representation when we do have an issue. If we have a stack of paperwork that we have to go through to make something happen, those people are available and their staff is available to help us. They are just absolutely great. It's a great networking of people. We're very fortunate.
So when you did move up here permanently, from the beach to the or rather, you were in Northern California.
Yeah, well, I was in beach, Northern California, and then right here.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you moved to the desert, once you got started to get settled in, were there any things that you found surprising or challenging about desert living?
Not really. The things that I enjoyed and loved was my potato chips didn't go soggy overnight. And I lived at the beach for 30-some years, and my potato chips were soggy all the time. And washcloths and dishcloths dried out overnight rather than mildewing over in the corner. Mildew was gone.
Right.
That isn't even an issue here. And I love the crispness of the desert. That's one of my most favorite things. The colors and the intensity of the light. Those are the things that really, really I love. And I didn't get that at the beach because it's overcast and it's cloudy and, you have a lot of different things that go on at the beach. So I really moved into a much better place and space by coming here and parking it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming and talking with us today.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being here.
Great. And before we go, for our Patreon subscribers, I am going to ask you to select 4 numbers between 1 and 50 that will go to random questions that will be part of our Diary Unlocked podcast for our Patreon supporters.
How about number 5?
Okay.
Number 19, 24, and 32.
All right. So the questions that you selected are... Is this the life you thought you'd have when you were a teenager? What's your go-to coffee or beverage order? What's the last book you read and why did you choose it? And the last question that Wanda will answer on Diary Unlocked is, you're having a rough day. What do you do? How do you turn it around? So if you want to hear Wanda's answers to those questions, go over to desertladydiaries.com, click on the support page, and check out the Patreon subscription to hear those answers.
I love that the first place Wanda lived when she moved here was in a tipi. If you've had a similar experience, whether a tipi or a shipping container or anything else, I'd love to hear about it. Post it up on the Facebook page, Desert Lady Diaries, or send me an email to desertladydiaries@gmail.com so I can share it on next week's episode. No shout-outs this week. However, I want to let you know I will be one of the speakers at Teddy Talks this coming Saturday, March 16th. Teddy Talks is a local community lecture series, TEDx style, and it was started by JT local Alice Herrera, who also hosts each month. I'll be sharing the stage with Christina Sanchez, who has been on the podcast. She's an environmental activist, trained herbalist, educator, and hairdresser. I've been asked a few times, when will someone interview you? So this will be your chance to hear how I made my way to the desert live and in person, Saturday, March 16th at the Beatnik in downtown Joshua Tree. Donations of a few dollars to the Beatnik Lounge are always appreciated, but no one is turned away. I hope you'll come out and support this local event. And if you'd like to support the podcast, but the Patreon option isn't for you at this time, you can make a one-time donation. Just go to desertladydiaries.com, click on the support page, and choose the PayPal. It'll use a debit or credit card to make the donation, and I really do appreciate your support. I'll be back next week. Thanks so much for listening.